Okay, this is what I wanted to show you, Sam. So 8.4 kilometers to go. We're going fast. This
We're
is 35.
nuking 35.
Yeah, this is quick. Coming in to corner 2. Homie double dips the corner, and he sends you into cyclocross mode.
I'm not a gravel rider. That's not good.
All right, Sam, welcome back.
Nice to be back.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back for some Masters National action.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
Yeah, man. I've been excited to talk about this race for a while. We're out here in Albuquerque, Masters National Criterium, and let's talk about the teams, because we don't really know who's who out here.
Yeah, it was different coming into this. Normally, in NorCal or even going out to nationals, like you kind of know who the people are, the hitters, the teams, and all that. But now we're not Masters racers like all the time. We're
Masters racers, but we're like holdouts. Like we only do like 1 or 2 per year.
For the big ones.
Yeah, and so we don't know who all these folks are who come from all these different racing districts. So we went like full investigator mode.
We didn't have kids around. We had an Airbnb to ourselves, nothing but time and Instagram.
And road results and Strava. And we were looking at all of these guys, and we just wanted to figure out who we need to look out for.
Which is actually not a bad use of time. If you really want to perform, you got to know who you're racing. That panned out. It was very helpful for our strategy.
Totally. I get this comment a lot, and it's probably worth addressing right now. People are like, oh, Jeff, you do these Alviso race commentaries or your local P12 races. You're calling all these people out by first name. And it's like, yeah, because I know everybody. I know what everyone's capable of. But I realize that people who are just getting into the sport or are racing a different district, whatever the case may be, they might not know their competition. So, like, there are all of these resources at your fingertips. And I wasn't kidding. Like, we did look at road results. Road Dash Results is a great resource. I looked at Strava, and you can look at their results, and you can look at what they're good at. Oh, he's won 4 time trials this year. He's probably good at time trialing. He's probably going to want to ride a breakaway.
Yeah, absolutely. And that factors in, and you're like, you might be thinking, oh, I don't have time for that. Well, if you want to perform, then make the time. I mean, we took about an hour and did some research on some people, and that really made a difference.
You know what else I do is I get onto Google Maps and I do Street View, and I will walk the course if I'm like, it's a big race. So the funny part about this race is all you'll see is balloons, because this course is out on a field where they launch hot air balloons. So anyway, we did pre-ride the course the day before. We did our research. Let's talk about our team on Mike's Bikes and what our roles were, because there are 3 of us.
That's right. We had Chris Reichert, hitter extraordinaire, and then we had Jeff and myself as kind of the sprinters for this particular race. And since I have done a Masters Nationals before.
He's modest. He is the reigning Masters national champion.
The longest standing national champion that didn't do anything since we didn't race in 2020. So I was, this is another nice thing about having a team is these guys signed up to ride for me. Since I had won previously, we had our plan that, as long as I was feeling good, that they were going to lay it down for me and lay out for a sprint to come in, and that's very, very kind.
Yeah, well, so Chris, let's talk about Chris's role. Chris was the gladiator of the day.
That's putting it lightly.
One-man team, basically. Chris was like, hey, don't worry, guys. I got this. Chris was second in the TT and second in the road race. So he had something to prove.
He had a score to settle here.
Yeah. So he was like, I'll ride the front. I want to neutralize the race. And then those names that we had identified from the day before in our research, quote unquote.
Yep.
I had a couple of guys that I had picked out that I was like, I cannot let them go up the road. So if Chris needs help, if Chris gets tired, which I don't think, does Chris get tired? I don't think he gets tired.
It's not been documented, so we don't think so. But
he did not on this day. So we were able to sit in as lazy sprinters. And that kind of had this unintended benefit for us of like, the field was like, who's the sprinter? Because Jeff's not doing anything, and Sam's not doing anything.
We happen to have a relatively famous person here, and I think most people assumed that we were going to sprint for you, which is a logical decision.
So then, and we'll get to this in the closing laps, when we started to organize, people were wondering, okay, is Sam sweeping for Jeff? Is Jeff sweeping for Sam? Like, what's going on here? There was a little bit of confusion, which we capitalized on. So with that said, maybe we'll just get into the last few laps of this race.
Absolutely.
All right, actually, before we talk about the last couple laps, Sam, let's talk about this course. Let's just take a lap on this course, because I think it's important to mention that Albuquerque's at elevation.
Yeah, 5,000 feet.
We had done time trial, a road race, and now the crit. Masters Nationals isn't only Cat 1 like Elite Nationals is. So you get this wide range in talent. And a bunch of people. It's a national title on the line. So you got people maybe...
Everybody still wants to win. There's no taking that away. And this is still a very fast course. So it definitely... there was some interesting bits out here.
So here's Chris marking an attack for us like he did the entire race. And things are up to speed. Now we're up 35 miles an hour. Like we are moving on this back section. And as we come through this corner number 2, homeboy double dips.
Yeah.
Sends you wide, Sam.
Yeah, that's something that's definitely worth looking at is, as you don't know some of these people and you don't know, how their heart rate's doing, if they can handle this intensity, the elevation, how well they're cornering at. I made a mistake there and that I'm trusting this rider to hold this line, but who knows what's going to happen. Yeah. So you always got to be on your toes. Whether you're solo, have a team, whatever, you always got to be paying attention.
This middle wiggle was definitely like a pinch point and definitely like an important part of the course, and we'll get to that once we kind of get to crunch time, the last couple of laps. But yeah, that's the course. I mean, these wide roads, people were complaining about the road quality. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't the best road I've ever been on, but it wasn't anything to write home about. The start-finish straight, there was one point where we were pointing out between you, me, and Chris, there was one particular bump that you had to watch for. But these are the kind of things this is why you pre-ride the course and pay attention to. You definitely don't want to be hitting a speed bump at 35 miles an hour while you're trying to sprint.
You also don't want to go into the gravel at 35 miles an hour, Sam. And when I saw you do that, I started thinking, maybe it's my day today after all.
Yeah, I am a mountain biker at heart, but yeah, that's not what you want to do in a crit.
So that's a lap. This is the start-finish straightaway. We had some wind. It was going right to left most of the day, but in the closing laps, it was pretty much just a straight headwind. Yeah,
pretty still, and a headwind is good for us as, Jeff and I both have, more of a powerful type of sprint, so that's going to pay dividends for us, and especially with Jeff's lead out ability. I was confident that I just needed to give it all I had and not fall down.
All right, Sam, we are coming into 2 laps to go.
Oh, yeah.
Crunch time, my man. It's time to win. It's time to win a national title. What are we doing right here? Well, the first thing I'm doing is I'm signaling back to you, and I am like, time to make sure you are on my wheel. I don't want you off my wheel until 200 meters to go.
Yeah, it's very helpful when you are communicating with your rider. So you'll see from my perspective, like Jeff puts his hand out here, I'm coming up behind him, and that's my wheel, and I'm not letting go of this thing unless absolutely necessary. But yeah, get on Jeff's wheel and start paying attention to what Chris is doing up in front.
And what's Chris doing up front? He still has energy. We told you guys he doesn't get tired.
Yeah, he got tired I think on Wednesday, like a week later or something.
So he is kind of he's ramping up the speed here, and I did something here that I kind of want to mention is I didn't move up to Chris's wheel because I want there to be a buffer, and none of this is by accident. We had talked about this. I don't want to be right behind Chris because Chris has been on the front for the last 60 minutes.
That's right.
And I don't want, if Chris drops us off with like a half a lap to go, that could be a problem for us because we just don't have the firepower to keep it at 35 miles an hour.
Right.
So I want there to be this buffer in front of us. So I allow that to happen.
You want a buffer, but you don't want to be too far in the back. So we want to be close enough to the front that we can make any adjustments. But yeah, that was a really smart move.
And you saw Chris looking back to make sure that we were where we're supposed to be. And then I keep looking back at Sam. I'm making sure Sam is where he's supposed to be. Sam is communicating to me. We are a well-oiled machine, and we pride ourselves on that on Mike's bikes.
Yeah, it was actually something that we've practiced because neither Jeff nor I in real life are super loud, and so we had to practice kind of screaming at each other. So
yeah.
I could actually hear him, and he could hear me.
And we're working on that. Like we've made mistakes in the past of kind of doing our own thing, which is a big problem, and it's a very amateurish move. So we've definitely gotten a lot better at that, and we executed well on today's race. I mean, we were always kind of operating as one unit, and we're going to make, coming into 1 lap to go, I think probably one of the more critical moves for me here in the race is I'm going to take this inside line because, yeah, I've recognized a couple more riders have squeaked through, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm taking this kind of risky inside line, but hey, once my bars are in front of that guys, then we're good.
Yeah, your front wheel is your own responsibility, and then they can worry about what's behind you.
And you can see me checking back to make sure after I did that move that Sam was still there, right? Because the last thing I want to do is lead out the wrong guy.
Yeah, and that's important. Like, Jeff has to trust that I'm going to be there. And I have to make my moves too. Like, he's not responsible 100% for me. So when something goes, I need to be able to move around as well. So, I'm watching the, Rainbow Sox, who is a super cool dude, by the way.
Really cool.
Really nice guy. He did that little bit, and, he got in front of me for a hot second, but don't panic. Stay where you need to stay. And then I was able to lock right back into Jeff's wheel. So, it was a critical move that you moved up right there.
Yeah, and I'm kind of half-wheeling here because, again, I'm leading out the reigning champ on my wheel, and I don't need that crazy good draft. It's more important that I am offering that draft to Sam, who needs to save every bit of energy for the final. So that's why you kind of see me half-wheeling there for a little bit. And yeah, now it's like I'm starting to think Chris keeps looking back. He knows where we're at. So Chris is timing his final effort. There he is getting out of the saddle.
Yep.
Chris is timing his effort to drop us off in a position where we are ready to go for the sprint. Yeah, which means there's still a couple riders in front of us.
And you're going to see me kind of swerving around a little bit here because I don't want any rider to take my wheel, Jeff's wheel here. And so I'm making sure I've got a little bit of room. Cost me a little bit of efficiency, but wait, here you go, Jeff.
Yeah, well, this is a key moment because Chris is kind of finishing off his pole right here. And now here goes Thirsty Bear with an early sprint or a late attack, something like that.
He sent a flyer.
He sent a flyer, and it's so late in the race with 600 meters to go. We can't let it go, that's for sure. So
Nope.
I have to follow it. And just as I suspected, he doesn't want to lead us out, so he starts to fade. And it's like, okay, well, this is earlier than I wanted to go, but we have to go. And I have to keep the speed high. So instead of jumping up to 1,200 watts, that's not what you do in a lead out. I do this slow burn. I take this pretty wicked inside line, corner to corner, curb to curb. And that only leaves room for one other person in my draft, and guess who it is?
Yep, that now it's my turn, and basically don't fall down, and I'm going to kick with everything I got left. And honestly, I was excited, and I felt good. I felt like I had it. But I took off with about 2:25 to go, which is about 50 meters earlier than I wanted to go, but at the same time, I got a 50-tooth front chainring and,
and thighs for days.
Yeah, so I was confident that I had it. And plus, we've talked about this before. If I'm going, I take this up to almost 40 miles an hour, which means to overtake me, you got to go 42, 43 miles an hour.
At least, because there's only so much more race left, right?
Into a headwind. And so, that's pretty tough to do. So, yeah, I mean.
That's how you win a national championship.
Booyah.
Booyah.
And
dude, so stoked. And when you passed me, I was like, oh, he's passing me already. I still had another 5 seconds to go of sprinting. So part of me was like, oh, wait, Sam. But at the same time, I was like, oh, but that means you're supremely confident if you're taking it that early. So I was stoked, man. I
knew that if I went a little earlier, then you would have plenty of energy left to bring home the bronze. So.
And if you looked back there, we had quite a distance. Like that lead out in that last corner did some damage. So some bro time with Sam here.
I was so excited. And I think a lot of people think that cycling is an individual thing, but this really shows that what teammates can do and teamwork and strategy and it's all good at the end of the race. And I was so thankful and grateful for Chris and Jeff just laying it out there for me. And that's what great racing is. And, get your friends and make a plan and give it a shot. You're probably going to get it wrong, but yeah, that's how you learn.
Eventually you'll get it right.
Yeah.
And Sam is wearing the national championship jersey right now. You guys will have to take my word for it. He has not taken it off since that day.
It smells great.
So congrats, Sam. I was super happy, man. That was such a great team effort. And thanks for hanging in there, guys. Catch you in the next one.
Thank you so much.